Okay. What did you say?
Ready to start?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to Science and Spiritual Growth Podcast, where we talk about spiritual matters and living life. Today, we're talking about the spiritual perspectives on business, cold calling, language, and where does spirituality come into this, very Western, just business mentality, success, money, all of that stuff, driving circulation, getting your name out there. But you want to stay spiritual. You don't want to like turn off. You're like spiritual from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., but then you turn it off and you go to like business mindset. 11 a.m. before or 11 p.m. before you go to sleep, you turn it back on. Like that's not how it happens, right? Or I don't know. We're going to talk about it today. I am Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, and author of many books, host of many podcasts. I travel the country and the world teaching yoga, lots of online trainings. Also have a PhD in the Normie universities. And what we're here to talk about these matters today, it's going to be our opinions. So take them for what they are, chew them up, and assimilate what you want and excrete the rest, if that wasn't a pleasant visualization for you all. I'm joined by my co-host, Yuri Burbashchuk, advanced meditation practitioner from Toronto, Canada, with full recall of a past life as a Buddhist monk. He also taps into his deep, unending wisdom and his skill set as a communicator, hypnotherapist, his skills as sales. And so I'm joined with Yuri. What's going on with you, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone that's listening. Talking about the subject, what specifically do you want to address, or what brings this about? I know that you are going to be cold calling. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I don't even know if it counts as cold calling today, but I've done a lot of that as far as yogis go, probably more than any yoga teacher ever in the history of the earth. And I mean, I find it hard to imagine that any yoga teacher has called more than 1,200 yoga studios. I would find it hard to believe that any yoga teacher has called more than 3,000 or 4,000 times, because many of these studios I've called a few times over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. And, so 3,000 or 4,000 phone calls as far as approaching people for business, there's maybe a few, maybe some that I don't know about. I don't know. And so today, I sent out a massive marketing campaign. And, there was like an ethical conundrum of this, because I just grabbed a bunch of emails. My apprentices grabbed emails. Technically, you're not supposed to add them to a newsletter if they didn't give you permission. I did it anyway, because what the fuck is going to happen? I'm here to win. I'm not here to play by their rules, because they'll break their rules and then say, no, well, they'll find some loophole or whatever. Like if I don't want to violate anybody. So I went through my spiritual conundrums of this. Okay, I'm going to offer massive value. So from that marketing campaign where I emailed, 1,600 studios or whatever, there are several that expressed some interest. So I'm calling them, and they had some level of interest. So this is who I'm calling. I'm also calling the venues that I had taught for in the past. It's been a little while since I've been on tour. I've been in Florida for a few months. I taught a few places around here in Florida, and really working to get my online business to a place. And this is something that this will be kind of an ancient spiritual situation, I think, was, you want to go into your spiritual practices. You want to have the time. You have basic needs of resources and shelter or whatever. I mean, unless you're, a monk living out under the rainforest canopy. But I don't have a rainforest canopy where I am. And, even if I did, maybe I'm just sissy like that. I don't want to do that. So I have some basic needs that need to be met. That takes money, or it takes support of somebody who has money. And I don't like being a beggar. The exchange has to be there. So in some cases it is there. And if it's not, then I got to make my own money. Okay. But then there was this counterbalance of so much effort to make money seemed to take away from the time to meditate, the time to practice yoga, research yoga. I would end up researching sales, not researching yoga. I'm struggling. This is like why I got out of academia. I was like, okay, I'm working PhD science, like high level information and intellectual stuff, but then I got to shut that off, and just like the train is going this way, tracks, then I got to screech it to a halt and go the other direction for my spiritual practices. And then the same thing the next day, screech it to a halt, and then go back the other way, and then go back this way, and go and in both directions, trying to find new territory on my spiritual perspectives and on my research perspectives. It was getting torn in two. And then, of course, where's my intimate relationships and friends and stuff? That's got to get in there. So I found that happening with like sales and my spiritual practices. And so that's just what I'm talking about. I'm talking about supplying the basic needs for living so that the teaching can take precedence. The spiritual practice can take precedence. That can float to the top because there is a sense of security in, not going to be homeless, not going to be so indebted to people that they come and confiscate things. And I'm not that close to that. But it's, when you call a bunch of people, especially in a female dominated industry, especially in an industry that 2 months ago, there was a guy that shot up a bunch of people at a yoga studio in Florida.
Oh.
In an industry where the minority of teachers who are guys, almost all of them have had some sexual scandal about them. And then you're going to cold call a yoga studio, and it's going to be a woman that answers, and you're going to answer with the guy's voice, and you're going to say, you don't know me, I'm from out of town, I'm not super famous, but this isn't exactly my script, that's not how I'm going to say it. But that's what it will come down to. Have they heard of you? Do they know who you are? Okay, do you have, okay, and you're a guy? Okay, and so now I'm going to think, I have 300 females that come to my yoga studio. Am I going to expose them to this strange new guy from out of town who just called me? And it's about building that rapport and that connection and transmitting value and enticing that, hey, I've got way more value. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And, what kind of transformation are you looking for? And even if I have a tight script, even if I'm such a good communicator, there's still some nervousness that comes over me when I'm about to do something like that. So I am using you all of these listeners, and you right there, Yuri, to express my mindset around it and do some talk therapy and get me into state, because I'm doing it right after this podcast. So I'm using the podcast to get me into that state. And all of the high-level business people that listen to this, the CEOs on Wall Street, the sports agents, the music agents, the movers and shakers, and people that are trying to make things happen in the world, they're listening to this and they're like, oh, these guys, they're just not unemployed sitting around at 12 noon every day talking for an hour about meditating. They are utilizing and implementing their spiritual skill set to succeed in the world. That's something I can sink my teeth into, because I got a family to support. I got debts to pay. I can't just turn off all of those responsibilities and become a monk. Like, I need my monkhood to bleed into my life, my material life. And so that's the kind of mindset I wanted to talk about today. So I know I've been talking for a long time. I don't know, did anything that I said inspire anything in you, or want to talk about change directions if you want to?
Yeah, I did door-to-door sales. And every single time that I got out of the house and went to the property that I'm going to go and door knock, there would always be the most intense fear inside my body. Because now that I look at it, I'm literally going, like, if it was the wilderness, I would be going into different people's huts or camps and like knocking on their whatever tents and be like, hey, yeah, you want to purchase this fur? I can get killed. And yeah, I think sales is so vital. It's so important to learn. And I'm very grateful that I had a sales background very early on, because that taught me if I want to be successful in sales, I have to be totally sold on my product. And if I'm not sold on my product, then no matter how much communication skills you have, no matter how amazing your body language is, presentation, anything, it's just not going to work, because it comes from the inside. And then, but just because you're totally sold on the product, it's the best thing in the world, it's the most amazing product in the universe. If you don't have the means of transferring these ideas into the other person's mind in a way that it clicks, it harmonizes with their belief systems and with their ideas, then that's also not going to work. So these three things need to be matched. First is you need to be so enthusiastic about this, and you have to have the right ideas to say it in the right way. And not just that, you have to say it in the right way to the other person's mind, because everyone's different. You're going to approach different people differently. And yeah, I think that's wonderful. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a unique, I probably in any industry, you're going to see the people you come across, they're going to see some commonalities. There's going to be, if you're door knocking in real estate versus if you're calling people for like a self-help seminar versus calling yoga studios versus, I don't know, any industry that you're in, there's probably, it's not the full, what am I trying to say? It's not like fully representative of the population overall. Like, it's some subset that is different. For example, yoga studios I'll be calling, it's going to be vast majority women. Obviously, the population of the US, unfortunately, is not a vast majority women. It's like 50-50. So I have this whole like dating science, pickup, seduction, my relationship with the feminine. How do I interact with the feminine, especially in a social context? Versus in a business context. Because when it comes to business, I'm all about winning. And whatever it takes to win within like my ethics. So yeah, I want rapport, I want friendship, but really like there's a level of teacher-student respect that's necessary for the event to be successful. And this is something I've learned after 200 events, that there needs to be like an admiration of the teachings for it to really be a winner. And if there's no admiration of the teachings, if it's just a testing the waters, if it's, I wonder if you're as good as me kind of thing, it's just not going to work. Just the event won't be successful. It will come out in their communication to their students, and people don't show up. So, so having that awareness, like how do I interact with my girlfriend? How do I interact with all the women in my life? How do I interact with new women when I'm out at social venues? Contrasted with how do I interact with this plethora of women who are more or less, I wouldn't say they're single, but they're definitely very independent mindset. You know what I'm saying? So many of them are, quote, married, but it's amazing. And of course I would never name names, but it's amazing how many of them ask me to step aside at some point while I'm there for the seminars and then start talking to me about their marriage troubles. It's like, you should be talking with your husband about this. Like, why are you talking with me about it? Like, yeah, I can help you, but I mean, I'll seduce you. That's how I'll help you. I'll help you by showing you the right way. I'm not going to like bring the guy and have some counseling with me if you want, like that sort of thing. So there's just a different way of interacting, and I love it. I feel, I have some new people in the Silent Flute now, and they do calling, they do real estate, they do business like that. And so I'm very excited because of how much I've learned or studied Bryan Casella's material. I'll be reviewing those notes right quick before I do the calling. And I sometimes forget how good I am until I start talking with the other person and realize how bad they are. They are not used to getting a phone call from a person soliciting business like this. I am used to calling studios. So I've called 3,000 times. They've received 10 calls. It's a big mismatch. And I lose perspective on that when I'm just thinking about it, when I'm just imagining it happening. And then when I get into the grind of it, I'm like, oh shit, I'm really good at this. And then the arrogance takes over and I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to empathize with them on that situation. I forgot to ask questions. I started bulldozing them, and I was so excited and enthusiastic. I spent 20 minutes juicing myself up. My tone when they have a soft tone. I was like, I was too self-centered in myself, whatever. So it's so spiritually humbling, and then it's easy, I think, to lose yourself in that, because I become such a chameleon of, molding and shaping to the communication of the other person that, knowledge of self or experience of this is just an experience. Like this is just me playing an acting role. And when the acting is done, I must discard the character and be the character that I'm playing in life. And am I okay playing that character? The teacher's role. Oh, let's talk about that for a second. What do you think about that? Like putting on a personality to do your sales. Were you already a spiritual person when you were doing your selling?
Yes, I was. It's interesting that you say that because every time we start this podcast, I feel like every time you hit record, I feel like I need to, I don't know, put on a personality. I feel like I put on a personality, and then after 30 minutes or so, I let go of that and I start to speak naturally. And I'm not sure what that is. I don't know how I can overcome that. I think I overcame that in the first couple of minutes just by shifting my mind. But I'm not sure what you mean by. I'm not sure if that's what you meant.
Sort of, yeah. I think that's very similar. But let's say, I don't know when the last time you were door knocking or calling was. But let's say if you could just imagine, pretend that you were going to do that, and you were going around, you were knocking, you were calling, you did that for a couple hours. You needed to stay like in state. You get your mindset, stay on that. Don't don't ever approach the next person as if treating it as if it wasn't what it was, like stick character, you could say. But that's probably, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're done for the day with your calls, with your door knocks, that's not the character you carry with you the rest of the day, is it?
I don't think I put on a character per se. I think I developed a lot of energy in me so that the moment that I approach and the moment that the person opens the door, they instantly sense that this person has something for me. And that was the most important thing for me. Because if I were just to knock on the door and say, hey, I have this thing, it's amazing, you need to buy it, probably not going to work. But I don't, yeah, I'm not sure. It actually very, very interesting, again, that you brought that up, because a few days ago I was watching this video, and this lady was talking about Teal Swan. She was saying that people in acting roles that take on very dark roles, like Keith Ledger and some other people, they almost always die right after their most darkest role. And it's because they take on the consciousness of that person. Like they literally become that person. The consciousness shifts so dramatically that they start to attract things that are in harmony with that consciousness. So I'm not sure if you want to put on a personality. I think you just need to be really enthusiastic, sharp as a tack, and a figure of authority.
I hear Jordan Belfort coming through in you, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm extracting it from you. Yeah, I'm even imagining Jordan Belfort. I am Jordan Belfort. I'll put on the Jordan Belfort hat. I'm the Jordan Belfort of yoga. So super exciting. It's been a pretty short podcast. I mean, I don't know what more to, that's what it is. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be able to teach this also in my group. And I know that as I do my 30 phone calls today and set up some business appointments and so on, maybe even set up some workshops in the future, that it will cut through my memory to some of the information that I know about this subject, and then do a quick video for my silent flute and see where they want to go with it, because my skill set isn't exactly what they're needing. If they're real estate, or if they're in medical sales, so I got a petitioner. I also have an osteopath that's a private, he has his private practice. So maybe half the people are like entrepreneurs of sorts, and selling is part of their business. The other half, they work in, like my girlfriend, she's a nurse practitioner, so she works at a hospital. But they're still going to be like selling there because she's also a yoga teacher. So, within the realms of ethics and everything, you have the opportunity to meet many potential yoga clients at the hospital, right? And especially since she works with moms mostly, and families of moms, and this, that, and the other thing. She's so bright, so just radiant, and people notice that and comment on it all the time. There's an opportunity for a yoga client. I mean, you live in this town, they live in this town. Why aren't they coming to your yoga class? Are they even into yoga? They are. Where do they like to go? Why come to our class? Our class is great. We're very medically informed, and it's there's a lot of benefits that you wouldn't get elsewhere. And I think everybody like Jordan Belfort would say, and really everybody Arash Dibazar says, is you're selling yourself in life. You sell yourself to the woman. You sell yourself to the man if you're a woman. You sell yourself to your friends. So I guess the tail end of what I would want to talk about today would be the law of exchange. You have goals. What are you willing to put in to get that? What are you willing to give to get it back? We want 1 million subscribers on our podcast. We want 1 million views. What are we willing to put out? It's not just about the content, because you could wrap a gold bar inside a mud casket and hand it to somebody, like the old story of the golden Buddha that you told that was caked over in mud, and not right. That's the story you told, right? Oh man, the story of like the Buddhist temple. I think it was in Tibet, and they had a giant gold statue of the Buddha, and the Chinese army was coming and taking it, and so all the monks, they gathered mud and they caked it over with mud, and so it just looked like kind of a part of the cave, a part of like the wall, and generations passed, and the caked mud started cracking, and one day like a little boy or something threw something at the wall, and it chipped off, and then you saw this like golden shimmering gold underneath, and they pulled it back, and there was a golden statue in the mountain.
Wow.
And, so you can have tremendous value, but if you don't package it right, people won't see it and then they won't value it. What if I handed you a rock and I was like, give me $10,000 for this? And you're like, no way, but it was $50,000 of gold inside. Like, it's how I package it. And of course, then you have the others like the fool's gold, like, give me $10,000 for this. It's like a $5 piece of rock. So what I was saying right before that was
law of exchange.
Law of exchange, like, it's not just about how good our content is. What I learned a long time ago, because the silent flute content was so good, I was like, why aren't more people joining? Why aren't people getting this and that out of it? And that's what I realized. It's too disorganized. Like, all the value is there, but you got to get yourself to Google Drive, and then the videos are just kind of, as I made them, they're put there. Originally, it was just you scroll down the Facebook feed and find all these videos, hundreds of videos. I'm like, fuck, how are people going to, like, the value's there, but how are they going to find what they need to know? They don't have time to watch all this shit. So I put it all on Google Drive and organized it into folders. Oh, now I got another selling point to tell people, hey, I got, it's organized like this. And then they're still like, it's overwhelming. I don't know where to go. And it's like, oh, okay, I need to give you a curriculum, because you're not going to watch all the videos while you're here. So I'll give you a curriculum of, like, you only do some of these videos. And okay, cool. And then it came down, I just, I had trouble finding it. And it's just like, if you had the audio files or whatever, it's like, okay, so now I'll be uploading the audio files of the lectures, and I'll have an apprentice make a table of contents with everything linked. So I can just send you the links to the videos. So now, with just a little bit minimal effort added on my side, the transformative power of my program just kept amplifying. And as such, the price raised. So as the transformation increased, the exchange increases, because what am I willing to give? And the fact of the matter is, it's, 1/5 or 1/10 the value of the transformation. There's a guy that's in my group. I won't name him, but he paid like $2,000 for this guy to help him with something. He leveled up a little bit, but in the end ended up getting in a fight with that guy, and ended up teaching that guy some things, because the guy had some unwellness in himself. But he paid like $2,000 for that guy. He comes to me. I charge him like $750 for whatever it was, like 3 months plus a couple of private sessions. And it was 6 private sessions, half-hour sessions. After 2 sessions in a month, I think it's about a month. Maybe it's been about a month and a half now. In the program, the original problem that he wanted solved is totally gone. It was an anxiety thing. And it was related to, I won't even say all the things, but it was embarrassing things. Embarrassing things were happening, and it was embarrassing situations. And he was a healer, or is a healer. That's like his occupation. And he's good at it. He just has, in situations it wasn't working, like he couldn't do it. Totally resolved that just by listening to my lectures, and then 1 or 2 private sessions where I just emphasized a few sentences. Like, we got a guy on YouTube right now. He's like, what are your favorite money mantras? The guy that I was helping, that's in my program still, he just needed a few mantras to separate from the problem, and then a few inner alchemy processes to start to inquire. Once he separates from his mind, how do you inquire into your mind to find, like Yuri says, the sources of inner conflicts, the sources of suffering, the seeds of my, I don't know, aberrations or whatever you want to call it. And that was just so magical. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, that was worth more than the $2,000 you paid with that other guy, right? Yeah. It's like, oh shit. So that's the value of this. So no, of course I'm not like charging him more for it, but it's like realizing like how powerful this is. Okay. That's the exchange, but then you got to sell it to the person too, right? So, what do you think about the law of exchange? What are you willing to give? And then how to position yourself so that they see that value?
I think there's a perfectly appropriate formula for this, and I first read it in The Science of Getting Rich. And it's, you have to give each man more in use value than you take in cash value. So if I go to an Eskimo up in the North Pole, and I bring the most expensive piece of artwork that this society has to offer, and I exchange this piece of artwork for, I don't know, $50, then I've really screwed him over, because he has no use for that artwork unless he's like an amazing artwork, whatever, craftsman or something, I don't know. But it's not useful for him. But if I hand him a handgun or something, or like a weapon for $50, then I've added to his life way more than the $50 the exchange that he's had. And so both parties increase in life. I think that's the only way to do it. And yeah, I really don't like injustice. I don't like when people charge more than they give in use value. So I think it's important for you as a salesperson to identify how much money would be equal to what you're giving, and give more than what you're asking for. Which I don't know. Maybe I'll ask you, how do you define that? How would you?
Well, especially for these kind of workshop situations, it's very interesting because let's say 16 people show up to, some therapy event, some physical therapy, like, they have a pelvis misalignment. Now, if you got pelvis misalignment, anybody that's had pelvis misalignment, it ranges from just like a nagging ache to like you can't stand up straight, your legs give out from under you, and you have shooting pains down your legs, and which may eventually, after a few months, lead to incontinence. It may lead to reproductive problems. I mean, you have a bunch of nerves down there. What's it worth to fix that?
Yeah.
Now, at the same token, 16 people come, maybe only 4 to 8 people actually fix it. Because my attention is divided for 3 hours among 16 people. I have to guide everybody, and some people get it better than others. They have more self-awareness, more physical awareness, and they're in a different condition. So if you're in more pain, it's harder to learn new things because your attention is grabbed by the pain. So it's like, what can I really guarantee in those situations?
Yeah.
Then on top of that, I'm not actually selling those individuals. I'm selling the studio owner. So the studio owner must turn around and say, this is the price of the event, where you have a plethora of yoga students or yoga teachers all around. 95% of them are women, and they're waitresses, or they're professional students, or they're not like high-level professionals. Occasionally you'll meet one and you can tell she's got business experience. She knows what she's doing as a yoga teacher, like as a business. Most of them are just trying to undercut each other. And I'll give it for free. I'll give a 3-hour workshop for $30, $20 if you show up early. It's like, what the fuck are you going to learn there? That's like, my time isn't even worth that. I'd rather watch Netflix. And, and maybe they have 1 or 2 good techniques, but it's all in the delivery and so on. And so me as an outsider, I'm like, yeah, I teach handstands. They're like, oh, we have a handstands teacher. She comes every 2 months and teaches a $20 event. What do you charge? I'm like, you're not going to like it. Like, because this is the level of handstands. Like I did a one-handed handstand on video on my Instagram the other day. And girl commented like super strong wrist. It's like, yeah, I know how to engage opposite sides of my wrists so that I don't compress the joint. It's called a bandha, when you engage the antagonistic muscle. So most people would engage their forearm, the flexors. I engage the extensors. I pull my hand back when I do a handstand. That protects your wrist. When you teach somebody how to do this, then all of a sudden they no longer have wrist pain for the rest of their yoga career. How much is that worth? Which is how valuable yoga is to them. If they just do it once a week, kinda, and they like hot yoga, then probably not. But if yoga is their salvation, like it was for me, it's like, can't go a day without yoga, or I'll start to get like, need to resolve this nervous system. Like I'm a high energy person. I need things that, manipulate my body chemistry. But I don't want to get injured in the process. So like, the Bikram, the hot yoga, I did that for a few months and it was great. It really helped my wrists a lot. But so the way I was going about the postures or something like that, I was hurting myself in other places of my body. There's a way, the kind of yoga that I do, it's what for anybody with a body type like me, that's what's really, I feel, the best. But there are little tips and tricks to not hurt yourself. And if you're hurting yourself, what's it worth to you to not be hurt anymore? What's it worth to you to feel the absence of that pain from now until forever? And is that worth a $20 event? Is it a $50 event? I'm teaching 2 months, in 2 months down in St. Petersburg, super high ticket event relative to other teachers. There are teachers in the US that have been teaching for 4 decades. That's a long time to be teaching yoga. They don't charge as much as me. They got experience. Now they have a big following, so they're probably going to fill the event, but the information, the transformation that somebody will go through is not going to be the same. Like I'm solving specific issues. So then what's it worth? I got to convince the yoga studio owner to go to their clients, most of which are kind of hipsters, not super, generally it's not going to be in like the business district, unless I penetrate into like Los Angeles or New York City, or like big cities where they have like business people that come to their yoga. Most of it's going to be like smaller towns, medium-sized cities, and it's going to be the kind of people that do yoga typically are just, how do I say this? I don't even know what they are. They are a unique demographic that typically don't have a huge bank account. They're used to paying a certain amount for yoga. So, I'm coming in with something very abnormal and needing to convince people to come to this event indirectly through the studio owner, because I'm not going to be interacting with them directly because I'm from out of town. All I can do is post on social media. I can go on Facebook. I can make an ad. We'll have a Facebook event. I can post in the event, and I can message and engage with people who engage with the event. But that's, so I must be confident that the studio owner can sell this also. And yeah, so this is that's kind of the mentality of it. So when it comes down to, there's a girl that's in my program right now who I met teaching her in Alabama like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago or something. She had never seen auras before. I didn't know that's what she wanted. She said something else. Oh, no. At the beginning of the workshop, I was like, what does everybody want out of this? And I remember, it was a long time ago. I remember it was something like, I want to see an aura. I'm not in the business of teaching people how to see auras. I think it's easy, but if you do enough spiritual practice, like it'll just happen. Like, and if it doesn't happen, don't worry about it, because it's not going to do that much for you anyway. It's almost a distraction. Unless you're Yuri, and then you can see into people's past lives and, assess their traumas that came from 10 lifetimes ago, the war where they were killed in a gruesome way. They just say this mantra, it'll heal their wound from 10 lifetimes ago. That's possible. Yuri can do that. Then, so we go through the breathing class, and at the end of it, she saw my aura, and she testimonial, and it just blew her mind. You saw it in her face. She's like, I never thought it would be like that. And it was like, just teasing. Like that's what it was. What's that worth to somebody to have that want to be craving so deeply that existential experience, like the experience of spiritual bliss? What is the price of seeing your past life as a monk?
Lots, yeah.
It's priceless, man. What was the price of seeing my own solar plexus chakra? Fuck, man. If somebody could guarantee it, but even then, it's like, how do you measure the emotional impact of that experience? Because that's what you're selling them. You're selling, what is the emotions of not feeling pain anymore in my pelvis? Oh man, the tears of joy and the relief and the freedom. And like, now I can enjoy my kids or enjoy taking walks again or going for runs, or like all of the emotions of that problem being absent is what I'm selling them on. And then I got to deliver. And so that's where testimonials come in. So, yeah, I think just talking about it is getting me in that mode. I haven't done calls in a few months or series calls. I'm sure I've done some, but mostly I've been doing coaching calls with my silent flute clients, doing clarity calls. People join the silent flute. There are some people that they're not convinced on joining my online program. So I was talking about getting the foundation right. I wanted the online program to a place where I could travel and not be needy not need the workshop that I'm going there for to make me money. Because there's a neediness that comes across in my teaching, and then I'm selling people on private lessons. I want my needs taken care of by my online program. Then I can just go and meet different communities around the country and around the world and be needless, be satiated in that. It's not a fun experience to want to be transmitting and imparting, deepest physical experience, deep spiritual matters, but not knowing if I'm going to have enough money to pay my Airbnb tonight and go and get some food. That's a hard thing, and it took the enjoyment out of it. And that was the thing that was so enjoyable, because running Facebook ads and messaging people on Facebook and like creating flyers and writing descriptions, like that's not the fun part of it. Like I don't not enjoy it, but the fun part is showing up and teaching and practicing with these people and meeting new people that are so fascinated by the thing that has healed me. And I'm like, yes, you're my people. You're into this too? Let's talk about it. That's the fun part. If that's imbued with neediness for their money, man, it just like kills it. So what I do with the silent flute is I do these clarity calls. People that aren't sold on the program, hey, jump on a free Zoom call with me, 20 minutes. Let's assess if this is a fit for you. Some people I say, no, this isn't a fit for you. Many people, it's obviously a fit for them because I think my technology is useful for the highest people to the lowest people. And if you're already attracted to me, then chances are it's a good fit for you. Chances are. But some people it's not. And through that clarity call, some people still sign up, some people don't sign up. Now, then there's also the people who sign up anyway. They didn't need a clarity call. Okay, so I don't want to be giving value to some people and they end up not signing up and then not giving value to the people who do sign up. So I do the clarity call anyway with the people that sign up and I give them extra value. I start to teach them. I don't teach people on clarity calls. I just assess. Because what happens, you teach people and they take that knowledge and like, oh, I'll run with this. I think I can handle my problem from what you just told me. It's like, really? I just said like 3 sentences. Like, I mean, good luck. I'm doing them a disservice if I try to solve their problems in a 20-minute phone call. Unless it can be solved, but most of the time it can't. Like, it's a Band-Aid. So the clarity call is all about assessing what is it they need? What is it they're wanting? Where have they been failing? What's it going to be like? What do they want life to be like? Where are the missing pieces that I can fill in, that I feel confident? I have those missing pieces too. I can fill that in. I have a video for that. Okay, sign up. Once you sign up and I get the money, then I'll send you a curriculum with links to all the videos in the order that I want you to watch them. Watch them all and then message me and we'll take it from there and I'll give you the next videos. So that's where I'm at with that. So that's my process there. You are kind of astonishing me a little bit. I didn't know that you studied Jordan Belfort, and it's probably all from the Science of Getting Rich and your, deep wisdom that comes from your meditation practice. So now that I've basically told you the silent flute process and ins and outs of my yoga business, I know we got to wrap it up. Any questions or comments, go ahead and type it. And I'll answer the YouTube. Somebody asked a question on YouTube. But what do you think about any or all of the process that I've talked about, the silent flute sign up or the yoga business? Or change the subject, as always, that's available.
Yeah, if I were you, I would go find some piece of grass somewhere, take off your shoes and stand on the grass and feel your heels grounding your body, and ask that the earth bring you exactly the types of people that would most benefit from your service, and for them to exchange in the appropriate way, and feel that the universe is taking care of you, and live like that. And that's if you live like that, then you're gonna live like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the universe is taking care of me. That's a good mantra. Awesome. So, all right, we got a question from Bob Senders. He says, what's the most powerful thing you have learned from Arash and from Grant Cardone? Have you ever watched Grant Cardone, Yuri?
Of course, yes.
Anything stand out? What are the most powerful things you've learned from him?
The most powerful thing that I've learned from Arash just in the last couple of days is how to influence someone's subconscious mind with your tonality. There's a technique for this, and it's the way that you use your tonality that makes people think the things that you want them to think. This is the whole key, right? And this is for Grant Cardone as well. If you can get someone to think the things that you want them to think without telling them inadvertently, then that's like the key to sales and persuasion and influence. And everyone talks about this. You got to make the other person have the thoughts that you want. And there's a way to do this. There's a technique to do this. And Arash talks about this in his mentorship. I think it was in his mentorship or one of his products. I think it was the Hidden Vortex. I don't remember.
Brother, I'm like tripped out right now because you just said the word advertently. And almost always I only ever hear the word inadvertently. And nobody ever uses the word advertently.
Huh.
It's kind of like people say the word nonchalant, but nobody ever uses the word chalant. You use the word advertently, and I don't know. I was kind of caught on that one. It caught my attention. But yeah, I love you saying this. This is why I love talking about these things because, yeah, using a tonality Vince Kelvin does this really well too. And the person will start thinking things based on the sound of your voice. This is like how you trigger someone's anger too. A lot of times they get angry because the sound of your voice, which is their anger is in their head. It's a movie in their head. They're thinking about certain things because of the sound of your voice is stimulating that.
Have you gone over the videos, the free videos on Jordan Belfort's tonality, the things that he teaches about tonality?
I should probably look at more. I've watched maybe 5 or 6 of his Whiteboard Wednesdays. And getting his straight line theory, that's on my list of, there's so many things.
Yeah.
What I've really been enjoying is, I won't give them away, but the book reading from Mentorship has been really life-changing. Really good. And okay, so I don't see any questions. I guess this was enjoyable for you all. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time with my, getting into the state for the show. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts is people on earth need to learn sales because it's very spiritually important. If you don't know how to communicate your ideas across, then you are actually a huge disservice. You're doing a huge disservice to your fellow mankind, because if you have an amazing product, then I need to hear about it. And you need to present it in a way that I understand and I want to buy it. So do yourself a favor and study those people that teach sales, that help you with the mindset and things like that, because it's very, very important for living here on this planet.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you, Yuri, is there a particular video that you are recommending from Jordan Belfort's free stuff, or you just think I should just search for like tonality?
Yeah, something that he says is I'll send you the video. And something that he says is that whenever you are telling someone a fact, or you're presenting your name, you never want to do a neutral tone or a downbeat tone. You want to do an upbeat tone, because no one cares. If you're calling, no one cares like really about you. So I'm from Ninth Limb Yoga, Yogi Chris. Have you heard of me before?
Right.
That gets a person. Yeah. So that's just one technique, and just Jordan Belfort tonality, and it's the thing that made me bring so many people to the events that I was selling at. I was doing phone calls. If I didn't learn tonality, if I had the most perfect script, I actually had an okay script. But just because I learned tonality and how to change my tonality in certain points of the script, that draws a person's attention in, and I got many signups for that.
Oh yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. I feel like this is like the modern incarnation of my old wrestling days. Like I feel the same nerves where it's like, I'm going to compete. And I would like somehow look at the other person, my opponent, and be like, oh, they're so big. They're so muscular. They look tough. Like they got a tattoo. I didn't have any tattoos at the time. And then we start scrapping. And then I realized, man, I am so much better than this guy. I'll just be whooping up on him. But it was like, I would, and it's going to be the same way with the calling and the selling. And really the beauty of it is what I'm offering now. It's not an ass whooping. I'm offering like, I'm offering a transformation in the direction they want to go.
Yeah.
It's going to be way worth it. So I look forward to that video. I don't have any closing statements. I sold myself this whole episode. If you're not on the program, join the program, get the ebook, the Silent Flute ebook, join our private Facebook group, Science of Spiritual Growth. Those are all in the links below, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Science of Spiritual Growth.